Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your natal moon in the sign of Aquarius. You crazy freaks, let's talk about you. No, just kidding. So the moon sign in our natal chart shows our inner self, our emotional self, our reactions and responses to life coming from a very early place, childhood, or even past life energy. And the moon represents our feminine self, and also in a man's chart, it can show his image of wife. So the moon in the sign of Aquarius has a very distinctive, rebellious energy. These people are not talked into anything. They can be very friendly in an impersonal way, but as you get to know them further, you realize that they are rock solid and stubborn and set in their own views of things, although they are one of the more open-minded. I mean, we'd have to look at Mercury to see exactly where the mind is at, but they can be open to things, but they don't change their mind, or they don't change their emotions around things unless it comes from their own inner place. So when we see the moon in a fixed sign, any of the fixed signs, the emotions are more stuck and like they do not change an emotional pattern easily, is what I'm trying to say. So Aquarius moon people, they're very fun. This is my opposite moon sign, and it might be one of my favorite moon signs, actually, although it's not a very comfortable place with the moon. It's not necessarily negative either. It's not emotional in the sense of the moon. And not to say that they don't get emotional about things. They do. They can be very fired up and emotional in a more impersonal sense about like what they feel is right, like what their ideas are, what they feel is right for the world and the planet. They can be, fired up about things, but it's not like it's not necessarily an emotional like. I can't imagine them like looking you right in the eyes and being like, "I feel for you." Um, it's just not like that. And we could have other things in the natal chart that would show that maybe they are that person, right? Maybe they have a lot of water signs. But just with this alone, they're not like sentimental like that. They're not personal, really, because they are impersonal. They emotionally are focused on the needs of the collective. They're not here depending on other things in the chart, but coming from their moon place alone, they're not here for the, one-on-one intimacy, those kind of connections. They're here for something bigger, and they inwardly feel that way too from a young age. There can be a sense with this moon emotionally that they are here for some groundbreaking mission, like something huge. And it's not coming from a place of like a Leo moon where, it's all about the self and vanity in a way. Sometimes it can be like that with the Leo moon. But with this, it's like they're here for something big, but it's a more humanitarian position where, they feel like they have this big destiny, but it's not really for themselves. It's not I don't feel that this moon sign is particularly selfish moon sign. It's just they're not always there, they're in their own world, and they can be inventors. That's kind of where their natural emotional energy usually goes, is that they're here to invent something, to create something, to be these revolutionaries. And so usually, and I mean, you'd have to look at Mercury for this too, but usually this is going to be a moon sign showing someone who is of a higher level of intelligence. And there's something about these people that they do kind of operate on like a higher frequency or another wavelength, like, and they might even relate to, you know, feeling kind of like an alien, right? Like they don't feel connected to this world in the way that it is really like, and that can be one of their downfalls actually, is that there can be a deep loneliness and a feeling that like we don't fit in when we have this moon sign, and that, you know, this world is kind of like this fucked up place, and it's not home, it's not comforting, you know. So they don't find comfort in the things of this world that the other people do find comfort in, which can be very lonely. But you know, when they realize that they are here to be this revolutionary, this creator, this inventor, and like when they realize their soul purpose based on the rest of the chart too, because the moon alone doesn't show the soul purpose, it just shows the emotional, energetic current that they kind of live in, right? But when they realize their purpose, then they can feel like they're more anchored to this world. And this placement would show that astrology would be favorable. Like, you know, whenever we see Aquarian placements, these are the gifted astrologers, right? So anything where they can learn about themselves and learn about other people in a more impersonal way. Like, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, although astrology can be very personal when you're working one-on-one with clients in a session, that's very personal. But as far as like the study of astrology and like being by yourself in a room with a bunch of books and just going into it, that's very Aquarian in a way. So it's giving themselves time to be alone and to immerse themselves in what they are obsessed with. And yeah, realizing there's nothing wrong with that, accepting that they're meant to be different, they're meant to kind of be these rebels. That's going to be very healing for them. And then they do end up being this standout person because there's something very recognizable and very noticeable about people with Aquarius Moon. The emotional field that they send out is very Uranian, it's very erratic, and they can be a little bit more unstable. Like their emotional reactions one day may widely differ from their emotional reactions on another day. Like where, you know, one day they might be more just like they're, you know, in their genius and they're kind of ignoring the world, and then other days they might actually get more pulled into the world and be, you know, kind of fired up about things. So they can be pretty shocking people. Like there could be something about an Aquarius Moon person that people are just like, whoa, what is up with them, right? So they but that can be very good. So they can be very noticed because there's just something different about them. There's something quirky about them. There's something a little bit erratic, you know, maybe you don't know what they're going to be like today kind of thing. Like they're like the crazy mad scientist genius people, right? And emotionally, they do have a great need to like be a casual acquaintance with everybody. And I say acquaintance and not friend because they also want to be friends with everybody, but more so it's like they want to literally be connected with everybody, like every single face on the world. Like you can't have a close friendship like in an intimate way with that many people. And the person with Aquarius Moon, they want to, and they have an emotional need to be an acquaintance with everyone. So you can see with this placement a wide social circle, someone who is known in a casual way by many and known in an emotional way by slim to none. Okay, and that might be what they prefer. And not that they one day cannot find someone to emotionally share their life with. They can, but that is more difficult for them than having a more casual relationship with all of life. So they have to really feel like they're with a soulmate person in order to emotionally connect. That's something that I found about Aquarius energy in general, especially with Venus, but even with Moon too. It's that they actually can be pretty picky about who they emotionally involve themselves with, not always who they physically involve themselves with. It's not that, but it's to get their emotions stirred. It's like it has to be a very special person because they do feel like an alien. They do feel like this weird freak at times, and it's not easy for them to open up with just anyone. And so it takes a very special person to be able to actually get inside these people. And many people may think that they know the inside of these people, but they truly don't. Because maybe the Aquarius Moon person doesn't really know inside themselves until a certain age too. So yeah, it's a very interesting placement, a very fun, lively energy that's sort of erratic and Uranian emotionally. Like the energy field of these people is like really wild and electric at times, and they can really be inventive and see the world. Like the moon is also how we see life on a very instinctual level, and these people can really see the world in a unique way, and they can see what humanity needs and what the collective needs. And then in some cases, when they've really got their creativity turned on, they can be the one that creates whatever it is that is the need for humanity that they see. So it is a more collective oriented place for the moon. People that are in a one-on-one relationship with the person with Aquarius Moon can feel like maybe they aren't as important as the Aquarius Moon's big mission at times. But with time, these people do open up more, and like they are capable of a deep and lasting love too. So I don't want to give the impression that they're not capable of love. It's just that like their mission is going to come first, and then also it takes a lot for them to open up. But when they do open up, this is a fixed moon sign. They don't tend to change easily. So this can be one of the more loyal moon signs that's going to be loyal to the partner, or also loyal to the idea or the goal or whatever it is that has emotionally got them going and that they feel is their purpose. They can really be some of the most stubborn people in the entire world, actually, at sticking with the goal or sticking with the person, because it is a fixed moon sign. And so it can be harder for them to allow other people's advice in, because they would prefer to be the one giving the advice. But actually they give very good advice, because they can see things, they can see your life as it actually is from a more detached perspective. And they can be really excellent advice givers, actually, because they do have that ability to just see things in a very genius or inventive way. So yeah, and in the childhood, the parents and the upbringing could have been more focused on like not emotions. It could be more focused on something mental, or like imagine being raised by like a bunch of geniuses who were very academic or something, and like that to me feels kind of like the upbringing of an Aquarius moon person, is like where emotions were not the forefront of the childhood. It was more some type of project or something academic, or even something kind of eccentric or different. Like maybe there was something in the childhood that happened that made them very different from their peers. And so they always felt kind of like an outsider because they had this, vastly different life experience. So that's kind of where they're coming from. That's the background with this moon sign. So I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear your experience of this moon sign, what it's been like to live as an Aquarius moon. I love you guys, and yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. And I do also offer one-on-one sessions. I do a one-on-one natal chart session, and I also do a relationship session as well. My links are below. Love you guys, and we'll talk soon.